Hello and welcome to the program. This is Vivek Williams and you're watching UATV Head to Head. Ukraine's new patrol police has largely been seen as the result of one of the government's most effective reforms. The new force, with their U.S.-style uniforms, have been introduced in more than 20 cities across the country. And last year's polls show that more than half of residents say they approve of the revamped police force. That's a major increase in the public's trust compared to previous years. So how has public perception changed since the law enforcement officers began their work more than 2 years ago? Joining us in the studio today is Oleksiy Biloshytsky, the Deputy Chief of Ukraine's Patrol Police. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you.
So there's been so much great coverage about the police in the last few years. And let's look back. The police used to be considered extremely corrupt here in Ukraine.
Well, yes. I cannot tell you that this is not true. Yes, the police was corrupt and was considered corrupt by the public, and the public viewed the force, even the entire force, as completely corrupt. And certain changes and big changes were needed to form some kind of other public opinion on this matter, on the force itself. So 2 years ago, roughly, because it was the launch of the Patrol Police was on the 4th of July 2015, and roughly 2 years ago we launched a completely new reformed force called the Patrol Police of Ukraine, and actually we took just completely new people to the force. We announced a call, and people from all different spheres, from all different professions, came to us and willingly decided to become a patrol officer. And they went through a certain training, and they went to streets. And at first, the public perception of the new force, and I'm gonna be frank with you, was like selfie guys, like inexperienced. They don't know anything. They don't know what to do, and a lot of, you know, at first the guys were they weren't taken seriously, but day by day, step by step, when every and each patrol police officer proved himself or herself and proved the public that those guys, they're not selfie cops. They're a serious force. They're a reformed unit that serves the public and the country effectively and the right way.
And so that leads to a lot more questions. That's been one of the biggest challenges, and you mentioned that from within has been an issue. So the challenge of changing the public's perception. But you also mentioned there's a challenge from within, changing the perception of the police, how they view themselves?
Well, no, it's not. It's not about how they view themselves. It's about how the public perception, because every police officer knew what he was doing and where did he go. Of course, there were like certain amount of people who joined the forces of patrol police, and they were like managers or IT guys or something like that, and they only thought that they have what it takes to become a patrol police officers, but in time they decided to leave, and they left because they understood that they don't have what it takes. But those numbers, they are very few. At first, we were expecting up to 20–30% to leave in the first year. But actually, in 2 years, we didn't even lose 15%. So in 2 years. But those numbers are good even for the institutions that are working for a long period of time. So this means that most of them, they are satisfied with the job they have. Of course, with the number of questions, and no one is actually really satisfied with the job. Everyone is wants something better and better and better. But nevertheless, it means also that the guys who came to us, they know why they came here, and they know what they have to do, and they still have this fire in their eyes, the fire they joined us with. So and with every day they become more and more professional. And right now, even the other institutions, structures of the national police, because the patrol police is just one unit, and the national police is big, and it's the detective, the operatives, the investigators, and a lot of different. So right now they want our guys to join them, to be transferred to those units, and this means that our guys are good.
So when you're looking at, you said the patrol police were the ones that were changed 2 years ago, and I would imagine that not all, it wasn't 100% change. So there's a good number of police from the former police forces still working.
Well,
in the patrol, or
the patrol police was a completely reformed
so
unit. 100% of people were new. This institution didn't exist before. So all the people that came, they were new, and the institution was new. So, before there were two structures, which the functions of which we took. It was the patrol, like it was a former patrol.
What's the visible face of the police? Right.
And the traffic police.
Right.
Right now there is no division to the patrol and the traffic police. We combine those functions, and we do both. We actually do the traffic violations, and we also do the patrol, the public disorder, and a lot of different stuff. So we combine it into one force.
And so,
yes.
what are some of the problems and challenges right now that that the force is foreseeing, that they're having to deal with, or that haven't changed as much as they'd want? Some of the specific issues.
Yes, of course we have problems and issues we have to deal with. It's well, it's
so. For example, something
yes,
like
the main thing for us is that we always want to change something in the legislation, because the force is new, but we have a lot of different legislation issues and legislation articles we have to obey, and some of them weren't changed for like 50 or 60 years, and we don't actually talk about the legal system you have in Canada or in the US. We're talking about continental legal system, which is where the legislation is being changed very rapidly, and it has to be changed quite a lot. And so we're working still on the old legislation, and we're pushing for it to be changed.
So, for example, what piece of legislation maybe you can mention for us that doesn't correspond with the modern operation of a police force?
Well, for example, the Code of Administrative misdemeanors. If I'm not sure that I'm translating it correctly, but you'll understand. The Code of Administrative Misdemeanors of Ukraine. It was written in the Soviet era in 1984. It's actually this code is as old as me. Yes, and actually it has a lot of old and Soviet norms and rules that we still have to follow, and actually we don't have having that code. we don't have a lot of mechanisms to do what we have to do, actually. So this is one of the issues. And one more issue, which is not actually an issue, but a plan we have for the future, is right now we're working on the establishing of the new Patrol Police Academy, which right now we have up to 14,000 people in the Patrol Police. And according to the concept, every and each person that wants to be a police officer, not just the patrol police, just wants to be a police officer, will have to go through the patrol, and will have to go and actually will have to join the academy, go through the course of studying, and join the patrol police.
And this is normally often how it does work, is that you have to see how it works. And how does it work now? For example, you see the investigators, detectives, they're all what you call maybe old school, or...
Yes. Right now we don't have that system that everyone should go through the patrol. We just want to establish it through establishing the academy and through establishing the rule that everyone has to go. Right now they're being trained differently, and they're joining the force directly to the investigators or the operatives or stuff. But actually the creation of the Patrol Police Academy or Police Academy will give us the one unified approach to the training, and will let us develop the needed training for a patrol police and a police officer generally, and will help us also to establish the new traditions and new feeling for the patrol police, for the police officers, this feeling of unity and this feeling of respect for the force, and this proudness. I mean the right way of what they're doing, the unified approach.
And so, yeah, this does take time. And if we look back, I know this is a painful subject, I believe it was last year where there's the shooting, police officers unfortunately shot and killed a driver. So what was the outcome from that, as in changes that the force made or is in the process of making from this?
Well, this situation, of course, I cannot comment on the.
Well, can you just tell for our viewers what the situation was that occurred?
It was at the beginning of our. It was in 2015, and it was the 4th or the 3rd month of service, and there was a driver who was who allegedly was under the influence, DUI, under the influence of drugs, and actually there was a big chase and a lot of threat to the people's life and health was issued by the car that was chased. And actually the patrol police officers, they used their weapon to stop that car. And it's well, actually, the situation was basically like that. I cannot go into the detail because right now, as
it's still under investigation.
Yes, it's.
What was learned? So a lot of criticism was the fact that the police were very, what they called green behind the ears, very, very novice, not knowing how to respond to this. Can you tell us how the department, what the department has learned from this, and maybe some changes that have been made, or because I'm sure it's been a unfortunate but good learning experience.
Yeah, you know. Actually, yes, there've been a lot of criticism that the patrol police wasn't that experienced, so this is why. But there is one little thing in that very situation. The guy who was shooting, actually, he's a former investigator. Oh. So he joined the patrol police because he wanted to be a part of reform. So he was trained before, and then he was trained once more when he joined the patrol police. So I don't think that this issue is of you know, because of lack of training.
Right.
It's but nevertheless, in 2 years we remodeled and modified the training, and at first it was 2 months, and right now it's 4.5 months, and we're going to 6 months. We actually improved a lot of stuff based on the experience and the feedback that we're getting from the patrol police officers. But that question of that situation you're asking me of is I would try to find the issue in the DUI driving in Ukraine, because right now just the patrol police actually registered more than 40,000 issues when people were driving under influence, and it's just I mean, it's a little more than half of the year, and we're doing more than the previous year. Actually, we're registering more issues. So this means that this is a very big problem, and even taking into the account that we changed the legislation, the code I told you, but it was just a little point in this code, and we raised the responsibility. I mean the fine and the driver's license seizure for a year, and the fine raised 3 times. Nevertheless, we're still registering more and more DUI. So,
and I think that's got a cause for a lot of social issues behind that as well.
Yes.
But it does seem like what's coming out of this is hopefully some feedback, being able to change legislation based on real-time activities. And hopefully we'll see that the legislation codes in Ukraine start to match with reality. And a lot of the information that you're finding starts to get used for real-time changes. And as you're even saying with DUI, even social changes and being able to better direct funds.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being with us today and telling us about what's going on with the patrol.
Thank you, and thank you for having me.
This is Vivica Williams. We were talking with Oleksiy Biloshytsky who's the deputy chief of Ukraine's patrol police. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.